Okay, so Scorpio Ascendant, this is your forecast for the season ahead. Now, in this particular forecast, I'm doing it in two halves to give you an overview of what each of these seasons represent to you. That's the first thing. In particular, from the perspective of each season having a real purpose. And at the same time that season is playing out, there are the full moons during that season taking place in the opposing signs. So I always think that the new moons that happen during the season are really showing you your new starts, your fresh new intentions, and that the full moon are showing you almost like the shadow side of what's going on in this season. It's showing you what happens when you get so obsessed with one side that the other side needs to come on to pull you back into balance. And so it can show up as those, unbalanced attitudes, so this is about getting the balance back in your life and finding an opening and being able to get through this time really beautifully. Now, I'm also putting into this reading a sense of where you've just come from. So the previous season, which obviously started on the 20th of March, when we went into the March solstice. I said that very deliberately because, for some of us, it's a spring equinox, and for others, it's an autumn equinox, according to how we are. But the March equinox, we could call it, the beginning of the astrological year when the sun went into the sign of Aries. That created a particular dynamic that you've been completing on, you've been working through between March and the 20th of June. And now we're into this new phase. During that previous time, there were also surprising things coming up, in the oppositions, in the full moons. So there were moments where our shadow sides of this particular season were really coming out. So I will also be talking about that and what you've learned as part of your journey, because I think what has already happened before is paving the way for our future success. So it's worth doing the two hand in hand. I also want to talk about your opportunity in this month ahead. I really do see that Jupiter has a lot to do with that. And also the gift of the season. I'm calling that the gift of the season. It's the position of the North Node. Now, you might not particularly think of the North Node as a particular gift, but I'm hoping that by the end of this forecast, Scorpio Ascendant, that you will come to see that the gifts and the traumas and the ups and downs that the North Node is really bringing you is actually still in your favor. It's still working for you. It's not really working against you. It is working to help you. So let's see. And in the second part, I will also be talking about the particular new moons as they happen, and also the full moons as they come across. So, and this might also take place, I might flick between the two, but essentially I want you to have an overview of, to help you focus and then be aware of the moons too. So it's quite a lot I'm trying to do in this. Anyway, let's have a look now and get a real feel for the season that we're in right now. So what have you been doing up until this point? So Scorpio Ascendant, if we go back to the beginning of the astrological new year when the sun went into the sign of Aries, there was a really heavy onus on you to get really clear about your life, your house, how you get organized, and also your health. And so I think that's been playing out the whole time, especially seeing as Chiron is also in this place and the North Node. So Chiron and the North Node in the 6th house really does bring up sort of ongoing issues with health, ongoing issues with, do you have too much going on? How can you get balanced at home? And how can you get the rhythm working really, really well? So I do think that was a bit of an issue. During that time, there was also this, I think, underlying desire that you just want to relax. And so at a time when you were really wanting to materialize your more fulsome life and get control over it, there was also this counter energy going on, kind of saying, look, you need to relax, you need to let go, you need to embrace your intuition a little bit more. And maybe that was how you were feeling you wanted to be. And so they may well have worked each other out a little bit. But hopefully, I think this situation is ongoing, given that the North Node is here. So I do think this 6th house is going to get a bit more of are talking about as we go through. But it definitely started off the new year. It's like, how do we cope with our life? You know, have we got what it takes to be able to manage our house, manage our family, our money, our health, and all that jazz? You know, it's a big remit, and one that you're being challenged on. Then our focus was very much on our relationships. And I really fully believe, seeing as Uranus is also there, you know, our relationships have been quite interesting. The people in our lives have been very surprising. And you might have found that, you know, things that you thought were a given weren't a given. Things that you were expecting to be sewn up in a particular way haven't quite worked out just as you were hoping, given that, you know, your ruling planet is Mars, but also Pluto, and the sign of Scorpio is very much about having things in quite a controlled manner. This would have been, you know, really, really frustrating. However, it's also brought some very exciting people into our life. And also, I say ours because I've got Scorpio Ascendant myself, sorry, just clarifying that. And then the conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus has absolutely created a lot more opportunities for our love, our connections, maybe great people to work with, helpful friends, new starts that are making things get quite busy. Now, one of the downsides to this is it feels like you've been attending to everyone else's chaos, everyone else's needs more than your own. You know, maybe this Uranus here, and as the sun went through this place and as Jupiter was going through this place, you were really being a firefighter and dousing all of the fires caused by all of your crazy friends and family and lovers and whatnot. You know, so you might have felt that, you know, your life has been really taken up with everybody else's crap, and it's exhausting, right? And then Jupiter went into the 8th, which is really quite beneficial. However, it does tend to open up a can of worms. You know, it's bringing your attention to your tax. It's bringing your attention to any shared assets that you've got, your joint money, how you jointly afford your life. Also everything to do with your genetic inheritance, everything to do with birth, life, and death, and the whole cycles of life and the transformation that happens. It also includes the expectations that these guys here have on you, their value systems that they're impinging and pushing onto you. So it's interesting because during this time when it feels like you've been absolutely in a quite outward state, dealing with everyone else's stuff, dealing with everyone else's values and actual physical hard cash on your life, it's been very difficult for you to find your true value. You know, how do you know what your true brand is? How do you know how to take time for yourself? And how do you really value yourself? So I would say that as you're coming into this new season, there's probably this feeling of, okay, I need to escape. Things have felt a little bit heavy for a while, and it's now time for me to escape and get a bit more lightness, a bit more freshness, and a broader perspective. But also underpinning that, I would say you've ignored yourself for quite some time. You haven't put your needs first. Your needs have really gone by the wayside. You know, you've been dealing with everyone else's stuff. It's time to really attend to you and also work out how you value yourself, how you can receive more, how you can absolutely know that you deserve more than you've currently experienced. And that's where I think it starts this new season off perfectly, because, you know, without having invested so much in yourself and really paying, you've really paid the price for being focused on all these other people, because it just feels quite exhausting. You're burnt out in your body, especially since the North Node and Chiron are here. And you may well have lost the true sight and understanding of the value that you are bringing the world. So here we go. We're at the start of the summer solstice if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or the winter solstice if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. And the attention is on how you can create a sense of space, how you can create a sense of immediate adventure, a bit more freedom, a bit more, I've said space, but a bit more possibility to exist. It's felt like life has actually tightened around you, almost like you've been in some kind of cling film suit. Hopefully, you know, not with nothing on underneath. That could be quite shocking. Oh God, every single time I do a forecast of some sort, I say something really like weird. Sorry, my mind just keeps going and images come up and I just have to say it as I see it. But it feels like you've been in some kind of cling film. It feels like everything's tightened around you. And really what you want now is to be in something loose and baggy and free with like no irritating bra strap or tight knickers. You know, you want to feel like you've got space to move, and like your hair can be wild. Like you don't have to, you know, like tie up and neaten up every aspect of your life. You want that space that is giving you room to breathe. That's what I'm really getting, is you need the room to breathe. And so this time, thankfully, also coincides with when lots of people are having holidays, but it's more of a metaphorical and physical holiday. It's not just about you getting out and going on some lovely sunny holiday somewhere. It's about you feeling you've got the space to think your own thoughts, learn your own things, study, if that's capturing your attention, and I suspect it will be. There's this idea that for you to be able to be more of yourself or explore yourself, that you might need to kind of examine other people's ideas, examine other things from different cultures, different religions, different policies, politics, whatever. Because all of that is informing you, you know, as you read and learn and share and have conversations, but in a relaxed and easy way, you have these little sort of impulses going off, and that feels right. That doesn't feel right. That feels good. That feels awful, you know, and it's time to really sort of listen into your body and allow that to rule you, allow that to help you know what your truth is. And that's what I think it is. It's about truth and freedom, which are very much a Sagittarian thing. But if you think about the ninth house, the ninth sign, it's about the freedom. You know, there are so many sort of crossovers there. So even though this is in the sign of Cancer, I would wager that this time of the year for you, Scorpio Ascendant, is a time when you're really wanting more freedom to be yourself, really. And to get closer to your origins, you know, to get a sense of your truthful origins, like who are you really and why are you really here? Now, the great thing is, as the Leo season, or the Leo zodiac month, I'm talking about zodiac months here, not actual calendar months, but from the 22nd of July, as the sun goes into the sign of Leo, that altered perspective, that sense of magnitude, that sense of curiosity and space and adventure that it's given you, is actually taking you to the top of your chart. It's taking you to that sense of, actually, I've got a much clearer sense of how I am, who I am, what I'm showing up to do here. And that's going to really come across in my work. That's going to really blow my work, you know, up in a much bigger pattern. People are going to see who I am, really fully feel me, and then they're either going to get on board with me or they're not. You know, it's, you know, your true pattern, your true value is coming out in a much more compelling way. And isn't that great? So I see this as being really beneficial, this Leo time. And then that's naturally leading on to the Virgo time, starting on the 22nd of August, when the sun goes into, you know, the zodiac month of Virgo. Your desire to connect with more people is also a lot more prevalent, mainly because other people are seeing you. It's like when you're in your Leo time, people are starting to notice you. You're starting to radiate out a lot more, and people are starting to notice your energy fields. They're starting to notice what it is you stand for. They're starting to notice how comfortable or at ease you are with yourself. And so to the level of ease you have in your life and the amount of flow that you have in your life, there are going to be people coming in from the 22nd of August to help you co-create your vision. Now, that all sounds great. And yes, it is. You know, there are opportunities for you to expand. There will be people coming in saying, hey, you want to expand in this way? I want to expand in this way. There's something related here. Let's hook up. Let's collaborate. Let's join forces. All that sounds great, and it really can be. And yet I realize we've got the shadow sides, or the polarity of these signs of this season to also bear in mind in consideration of the new moons here and the full moons. So let's examine some of that. So I'm going to go back to the start of this season again. So the sense of adventure that you're looking for, that sense of, I need to come out, I need to feel free, I need to absolutely allow myself to flourish. I want to feel new things, think new thoughts. I want the space to make up my own mind. I want to get off that cling film thing. I want to feel free without my bra on, with my hair wild. I want to feel that sense of really being alive. And that's all great. And yet the start of this season, we've got this Capricorn full moon. Now, I've already recorded about it. You might have even watched a video. This Capricorn full moon is quite cosmic. It is bringing us back to our roots. And yet it's also stressing out that sense of, actually, you belong here. You belong here with this thought system. This is right. So don't be surprised if, at the start of this season, whilst you're wanting to come out of yourself, that your local environment is trying to pull you back in and say, don't forget about us. This is where you come from. This is what you have to focus on. And then the new moon in Cancer is the next notable date. It's on the 5th of July. And to me, that's a brilliant time to sign up for a new course, a new form of education, to go on some kind of seminar, to think about your upliftment, think about your adventure, think about your journeying, whether you're journeying in your mind or your body. It is a sign to you that it's time to be bigger, to be more magnificent, and to explore that. And a couple of weeks later, on the 21st of July, you've got your second full moon in the sign of Capricorn. Again, it's pulling you back. It's like every time you're dreaming to get out, you're being pulled back. And so it feels like there's another pull on your energy levels. Don't forget where you come from. Don't forget your roots. Don't forget about us. And so my question to you, Scorpio Ascendant, is how can you balance these two? This is quite a persistent one. In particular, this one is also in a conjunction to Pluto at the time. So there's a real sense of control there and importance and immediacy. So, how can you balance the two? How can you go on a journey and also include gratitude for where you've come from? I would say that if you could include gratitude, you're going to have a much better sense of your new adventure. It's going to be quite exciting. So bring it on is what I say. The next new moon on the 4th of August is showing up in your 10th house. Anything to do with your career, your onward journey, any great new ideas, any launch would be fantastic. So hold on to this as a potential date. Hold on to this as a time, if there's something you want to launch, something you want to get a rise on, this is important. This is happening in an important part of your chart, and it's going to help you move beyond where you are. So worth noticing. And you've got also on the 4th of August, it's also worth saying, Mercury does also go retrograde that day. It goes retrograde from 4 degrees in the sign of Virgo all the way back to 21 degrees in the sign of Leo. And it gets back there on the 28th of August. So, at the time of this new moon, where you're thinking in terms of how you can create more for yourself and rise with the energy of your career and rise with the energy of your profile, there's a lot of good stuff going on for you. Mercury is going retrograde. It's asking you, it's saying, don't be too ready to collaborate just yet. There's some more stuff that is leading back to your impact, not the collective impact. So if you are already creating plans, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to collaborate with this person, that person, stop that. Just stop it for a minute. Enjoy your energy right now. Enjoy basking in the attention of what's coming up around you. Enjoy the praise that's coming in, the recognition, the extra money, whatever it is. Enjoy it. And you don't need to share it right now either. Just absolutely enjoy it. Now, a little bit later, during that Mercury retrograde on the 19th of August, there is also a bit of a challenge from your family or your home. It feels like matters are pulling you back in. It feels like things are going so magnificently out there that actually, the people you share your life with are maybe a bit miffed, maybe missing you a little bit. And so you might feel a little bit of a pull. You might feel a bit of a guilt trip coming up. And fair enough. So it might be worthwhile actually booking some time around that full moon to fully appreciate the people in your life and to be really in a place of gratitude. A couple of weeks later, we then got the new moon in Virgo, which is really emphasizing everything to do with collaboration and other people's input into your good. How can you create together? And there are invitations coming in. It really feels like your hot property. And all of a sudden, because of your new expanded vision, your new sense of confidence, people are noticing you, people are wanting to collaborate. What I would say is whatever you're working towards, be aware that on the 18th, we've got the first eclipse of the second eclipse season. It's a full moon on the 18th of September. It's in Pisces. It's also in a conjunction with Neptune. So everything to do with your collaborations with other people, it's not quite clear. So you might want to, when you're setting up your collaborations with people, just to get some specifications. What do you expect me to do by what time? Because to me, it feels like the tension is, I could have done this on my own a lot more easily. It would have been much easier. I would know when I start, when I finish, and all that kind of jazz. So really specify what's going on around this month from the 22nd of August to the 22nd of September, and that will really stand you in good stead. Where I want to leave this forecast then is to talk about the opportunity and the gift of this season. So all in all, whilst it has sucked in the previous season to feel quite so examined by other people's values, to feel like you're sharing your values and your resources with other people, and you've had to deal with everyone else's crap. Sometimes it has felt like you've put in all the effort and the other people who you're related to just aren't putting in the effort. They're not putting in a solid day's work, and you're carrying the can, and it's a heavy thing to deal with. That said, there's a much bigger opportunity. There's been some kind of opportunities for you to see something new. Because you've been one step ahead, you've seen around the situation where people have been lacking the foresight to get a move on with this. You've been able to see the fullness of all the opportunities that exist with the people around you. What I would say is this has given you great training in what's yours, what's not. Where you start and end, and where everyone else kind of impacts. So I think your opportunity here is to have a clearer sense of what is tying you up in knots and what is freeing you. From this perspective in the season ahead, focus on what is freeing you and how you can get free of other people's expectations. Notice language patterns that help you. Notice that when you do this, you feel freer. When you do that, you feel more entangled. And that gives you everything that you need to know to be able to take the next step and the next step and the next step. Really hold that close to you. The last thing, the gift, the true gift, no matter how bonkers this year has been so far with all these opportunities and really how busy it's been, you haven't had as much time to really zone in on your health, zone in on your house, get everything organized, get your monies and everything balanced. I do think by the end of the year, you'd have caught up, but wouldn't it be great if you could do it before then? I think you can. And I think examining the gift of this, examining what's yours and what's not, examining what's for you to deal with and what's for other people to deal with, and also letting go of some of your control dramas, saying, okay, I realize if I want to control it myself, I'm going to have to go all in, and that's going to take all of my attention. Am I prepared to do that? Is that the cost? Is that the true cost that I'm happy to carry? If you're not, then you need to understand that you're going to have to accept the collaboration of other people in your lives. And I think this is probably one of the biggest gifts. The North Node in Aries is always teaching us about greater independence and greater power and more individuality. And yet you don't really have that if you're sharing your life and your world with other people, if you're living with someone, if you're in a partnership, and we're all in a partnership of some sort. There are times when we can't just say this is how it is, and there are times when we need other people's help around us. And so I actually think one of the biggest gifts for you in this season, and actually beyond to the rest of the year, is an acceptance that you can only do so much. And if you continue to worry about the things you don't have time to do, if you continue to worry about the things you really can't control, you're going to drive yourself nuts. In fact, I think self-care is understanding where your limits start. And it's also recognizing the fights you want to get into and the fights you don't. So I think this is really, at the end of this season, you're going to have much clearer defined boundaries and know what's yours, what's not, what to bother with, and what to just leave, what to just think, what, this is absolutely fine. And I actually think when you do that, you'll be able to attend to the things that really matter and not to the things that don't. So ease up on your controls somewhat, and I think things will get easier. Lots of love to you, Scorpio. I hope you have a great season ahead. I hope this has been useful. And if I can be of any help, you know where to find me. Bye for now.